Well, hello once again to another episode of Walking in the Light. I tell you, I am super excited about today's topic. Today's topic is entitled, What's in Your To Be List? Yeah, you heard me correctly. Not your to do list, but what's in your to be list. In July of 2020, I came across an article in one of my subscriptions entitled The McKinsey Quarterly. In this particular publication, in this particular issue, there's a story about a CEO of a major hospital in the state of Ohio. In the heart of the pandemic, one of the things that he attributed to their success and their resilience was the fact that he had a daily practice of establishing items on his to-be list, of placing items on his to-be list. That was the most important thing that he did every single day. Following his to-be list, he then stated certain items priorities that he had to get done on his to-do list. But the items on his to-be list were fueled by items on his to-be list. On his to-be list, it spoke to how he is showing up in each of these different realms, in each of these different board meetings, or each of these different conference calls, if you will. Things such as, I needed to show up more assertive in this meeting, or I needed to show up more intentional, or I needed to show up with a degree of generosity and a degree of transparency. So those items were shown on his calendar, not just items that were tasks or appointments or things that he did, but who he needs to be or who he needs to personify walking into these meetings. How huge would that be for you if you were to start your day with a to-be list, not as opposed to, but with your to-be list in addition to your to-do list? You know, it sort of reminds me of the book of Joshua, Joshua chapter 1, to be more specific. And I'm just going to cherry pick 3 verses, Joshua chapter 1, verses 2, verses 5, and verses 6. And I'm just going to paraphrase. I'm not going to quote. In verse 2, the Lord said to Joshua, listen, dude, Moses, my servant, is dead. In verse 5, the Lord says to Joshua, as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. And here, you ready for this? In verse 6. In verse 6, the Lord says to Joshua, okay, I need you to be 2 things. I need you to be 2 things, and I need you to do 1 thing. I need you to be strong, and I need you to be courageous. And I need you to do this. I need you to lead my people as they enter into the promised land. So I don't know about you. You don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that is a 2-to-1 ratio. So there's a priority on the to-be list. A 2-to-1 ratio, 2 items on the to-be list, 1 item on the to-do list. So here's my question for you. As one of the banks will say, what's in your wallet? What's in your to-be list?